Hi, my name's Neil Munday and I'm your host for the Stirling Business Podcast. The podcast is brought to you from Studio King Street here in the heart of Stirling. You can book our wonderful studio by going onto our website and making a booking that way, or sending an email to inquiries@studiokingstreet.com. Or you can simply pick up the phone and give Laura a call to make your booking. So, over to this week's episode of the Stirling Business Podcast. Welcome to Studio King Street, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Great to be here, thanks.
So we have Stirling Albion Football Club in here today on the Stirling Business Podcast, and it's going to be a game of two halves. We're going to talk to yourself, Fraser McIntyre, the club chairman for Stirling Albion, and yourself, David Cowley, part of the Binos Business Community.
Yep.
So we're going to talk a bit about business and a bit about football and a bit about the club. So let's start with you, Fraser. So how long have you been club chairman, and how long have you been at the club overall, and what did you do before becoming chairman?
Yeah, I moved to I was originally from the Fraser Galway. I moved to the Stirling area for university. Went along to a couple of games as a board student. Took in some football games and I fell in love with the club. Once I graduated, I set up a couple of businesses locally. Was volunteering at the football club and helping on the commercial team. And then about February or March time last year, the opportunity was available to join the board as a commercial director. So I've been on the board of the football club for just over a year now, starting various commercial incentives, modernising the football club and doing things maybe slightly differently than what was done in the past. And then within the last couple of months, our club chairman stepped down and I took on the hot seat. So I've only been club chairman for a couple of months, but been involved in Stirling as the football club for probably 10 years plus now as a fan and then on the board.
Great. Okay, so tell the listeners a little bit about Stirling Albion for those that don't know too much about the club. So what league are you in, and what are your current priorities, having just finished the season?
Yeah, we've had a bit of a change this season, so we've changed the manager at the end of the season after what was probably a disappointing season in hindsight. We can touch on maybe where a club the size of Stirling should be. But at the moment we're in League 2, which is the bottom professional league of the Scottish football structure. And we're looking to kind of bit of a kind of reset this summer and go again and try and get to where probably the football club deserves to be.
Okay. So, and obviously you're going to say right at the top of the championship, I'm sure. But so what do you think you need to be doing to start to kind of move the needle with regards to the club?
Yeah, so it's hard at a club like Stirling because as much as we are a one club city and we've got all the benefit of that there's not a local rival within the football landscape. The club's fan owned, so so I sit here as club chairman, but I don't own the football club. It's not my football club to put money into. It's not my football club to change the real direction of the football club. It's fan owned by the people of Stirling. Anyone can be a member of the supporters trust and own that part of that football club. That's both a good thing because it's owned by the local people, but it's also a bad thing because you've obviously not got the same investment potential as potentially other football clubs, especially some of the ones that don't have some of the kind of building blocks that a club like Stirling Albion has. So yeah, that's one of the biggest kind of difficulties of where we are at just now, and the want to try and get to where a club the size of Stirling should be.
And are there any barriers to stop that kind of hybrid happening with part kind of fan ownership and some significant investor coming in to support that?
Yeah, there can be. I think that there's definitely vehicles to be able to do it. The supporters trust, I can't speak for them, but I'm sure the supporters trust, if someone rocked up and wanted to put some money into the football club, there might be a conversation there to be had. The biggest thing for me, and this is me speaking with my business hat on now, is the football club doesn't own the local stadium. It's owned by the council, so there's no real asset for someone to come in and put money in as an investment. So if you're coming in from the outside looking to invest money, you'd want some sort of security over your money. The club doesn't have that like most other clubs would.
Okay, and most other clubs in Scotland would typically have the asset. under their ownership would they typically?
Yeah, it's quite a UK-wide thing that the football club, the local football club would own their stadium, and you've seen examples of other football clubs that have put down the plastic or the hybrid pitch, and they can make a generating asset Monday to Friday. It's not just reliant on a match day income. We don't have that, but it's not unusual European-wide. A lot of the European style clubs, the stadiums will have been built by the local council, and it's much more of a partnership working. So the football club will deliver some of the local health and well-being outcomes for the local council in return for a nice shiny new stadium. It usually comes on the back of a Commonwealth Games or an Olympics, and they'll take on the stadium thereafter. Again, that's not the kind of place that we're in at the moment. That's where we're trying to get to, but yeah, it does. That's one of the things that does hamper us from getting to probably where we would like to be going.
So it'll be a level playing field once we make it into European competitions.
Yeah.
Once you make it into good luck with that one. So how many fans roughly do you think the club has?
So it's a strange one because we've always been a university town. We've got a wide diaspora of fans. So we started something in the summer called Club 1945, and that was allowed people to be able to put in small little amounts back into the football club. And we do have people signing up from Canada to New Zealand to Singapore. So you can tell that you're a university town because these people have obviously had a connection maybe with the club through studying here, and then they've gone elsewhere for their lives afterwards. But in terms of our local base, we'll average 650 people to a home game, which I think when you look across the board, we're sitting fourth in the bottom two leagues. So even if you take all the teams that are in the league higher than us, we still outcompete them in a lot of them for the average attendance. So we are still well supported. It's just that little bit off the field that we don't get the same.
And how far and wide do you think those fans are coming from then? Stirlingshire and Forth Valley, or do you think we're getting people coming in from outside of that geography?
Yeah, I think there's definitely some that are outside of it. I think our core is obviously within the Stirling area, but I think we did a bit of analysis before, and there are some people from far afield. There's a couple of gentlemen that makes it down to 2 or 3 games a season that are in the Shetland Isles.
Really? Wow.
So there are some fans that are spread out. I think it tends to be that with a club like Stirling, you've got an attachment for the club, so therefore even if you move for life or business and set it up elsewhere, you tend to keep coming back to support a team like Stirling. That's something that's probably a little bit different than some of the bigger clubs, but if you're a Stirling fan, it tends to get ingrained and you keep with it.
Right, okay. So if we turn attention to David for a while, the Binos Business Community, tell us a little bit about that and how it originated, David.
Yeah, it originated through conversations between myself, Fraser, and a few other people at the club, where we felt that there was an opportunity to do something that benefited the club, but also the wider community in the city. So, if you distill it down to its simplest terms, we are a business networking forum facilitated through the club. But to describe it in that way doesn't really bring to life the full opportunity as we see it. So the emphasis is very much on building relationships. So what we're not is, one of these business gatherings where you try and get rid of as many business cards as you can, as quickly as you can, to as many people as you can. We've really got the focus on trying to germinate and build true relationships that people can rely on. So we create the space to do that in our meetings. I think the other differentiators for us are that, as it says in the name, we aspire to build a community. And I think the difference with talking about a community rather than a club or a group is that we felt these other terms felt a bit closed shop. Whereas for us, this is really about being inclusive, being open, being welcoming. We also think that it gives a nod to the structure of the club because we're community owned. And I also think that community to me suggests something about aspiration and growth, or something organic, and that's really the way that it's playing out. And then quite obviously, the other differentiator is that we are facilitated through the club. And I think there are a lot of similarities between business and sport. You look at themes around leadership and resilience, and we can really lean into that heavily and make it we can bring those to life and make it a more interesting experience. And then ultimately, the club is also a business. It's a commercial venture at the end of the day, and that's got benefits, and that's got the club has the same needs and wants and hopes and dreams as all the other businesses that come to that. So we do feel that it's giving something different, and because of these, it's got a different energy about it. Right.
Okay. So how long have you been established now with BBC? The BBC?
The BBC, the BBC. We kicked off in earnest, I think it was only in February. And we are really pleased with the traction that we've gained in such a short space of time. So we just had our 4th meeting. That was the 2nd meeting in a row that was attended by over 50 local businesses. And again, the feedback and the positivity that we're getting is really rewarding, and it's really motivating for us. And, we're already in the position where we're not having to sort of rely on previous networks to reach out and cold call or anything like that to get people to come along. We are getting reverse inquiries now. And so it feels like it's already in a short space of time becoming self-sustaining, and that's really pleasing.
And do you have a membership model?
Yeah, so it is so the community, it's a membership subscription based, and that's either annual subscription of £500 or a monthly subscription of £50. That gets you entitlement to, at the moment, monthly in-person meetings. I've got to say, we're almost running to catch up with how popular this has been and how quickly it's taken off. So there are going to be other benefits coming on stream quickly. Members app, for example. We've got chat forums through WhatsApp. And everything that we're doing is to try and build that cohesion and that community feel.
Yeah, and is it about trying to kind of get businesses to partner with each other and leverage each other's capabilities for the benefit of Stirling and ultimately the club?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we see all these objectives as being aligned. That clearly, one aspect of this is to try and benefit the club, that you bring potential businesses, partners, maybe even stakeholders into the orbit of the club. But the club's needs, as I said earlier, are very similar to other local business needs. And that, we've got the same aspirations, the same needs. We feel we can benefit from the same platform. And so, all these things are aligned beyond just the business aspect. Again, the community side of things, the club has a well-developed foundation arm, so a charitable arm. We help to try and expose some of that to local businesses, and again, we've already got examples where a local business who's involved in the BBC has helped facilitate travel, for example, for the foundation. That helps with outreach, and we've got so many ideas that we really want to deliver into this. We feel really positive about where that can take it.
And the membership money going back into the club, being reinvested into the club, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, standing up something like this has costs inherent in it, and that's part of it. And again, we've got a lot of ideas that we want to bring to life, because ultimately, this is adjacent to the club and it will benefit the club, as you say. Some of that money goes directly into the playing squad, for example. But this is for the benefit of the members, ultimately, and we want them to feel ownership. By paying a subscription, we think it's right that they should feel that entitlement as well. And so as this evolves, that will be driven by their needs and their direction.
I can feel a Binos Business podcast coming on here.
Absolutely. That's a great idea.
So we talked a little bit about membership. Roughly how many memberships are starting to sign up with you guys now?
So at the moment, it's in the mid-30s. Which again, in the period of time that we've been doing this, we're really pleased about. As I said, the sort of last 2 meetings, we've had over 50 local businesses attend, and the emphasis really is on a local presence in the business, Stirling in the sort of central area. So we don't have any particular target in mind. We just want to feel that, we're conscious that we want this to feel like a community. It's got the ability to grow, but we don't want it to begin to feel impersonal or formulaic in any way. So I think we'll be dictated again by how this evolves and again, what our members tell us.
Yeah. And from an interaction point of view, how are you kind of working with other forums within the Forth Valley? So I know you were talking to Bid.
Yep.
Put my Bid hat on for a moment. I know we've had conversations recently about that. Are you talking to any of the other networks like the Forth Valley Chambers is a good example.
Yeah,
well.
we've got a really long to-do list, and so if somebody from Forth Valley Chambers is listening, that's a great example. We'll be reaching out to them at some point in the not too distant future. But because of how quickly this has evolved, the focus has really been on creating something that's going to be a value proposition for the members. Mm-hmm. Part of the evolution of that will be reaching out into BID, for example, forming relationships into a whole host of other organisations in the local community, so that can be a vehicle for our members. And ultimately, we hope, I think everybody who's involved in these types of ventures hopes that the sum of the collective is greater than the individual parts.
Great. Okay, so if we come back to you, Fraser, so talked a little bit about the club in terms of its fan base and kind of how its kind of ownership, if you like. If we look more at the kind of operational side of the club, how are you kind of structured currently, and how does the business run day to day?
Yeah, so up until probably last August, there was no paid staff at all. The football club's ran by a bunch of volunteers. That sounds a little bit degrading to them, but a strong army of volunteers
with experience. I assume.
Yes. There is probably 50 volunteers on a match day. That we wouldn't be able to. Mm-hmm. The club can't sustain paying for that level of, so you rely on it, and that's across football. We're not the only club that does that. There's bigger clubs than us that will have their Volunteer of the Month awards that shows that they're still heavily reliant on a volunteer base. But there's a board of directors of 5 of us that meet regularly, and we're the driving force of the football club. We're the ones that will be doing stuff Monday to Friday, and then we rely on the group of volunteers on a Saturday to put on a match day. But now we've kind of professionalised our office environment a little bit, and now have a member of staff involved who's there to be able to drive it from more of the kind of admin side of things, which has been a great help. But yeah, it's ran on by one person. The rest of the spend for payroll goes into the playing squad.
Okay, and how do you attract players?
It's reputation, a little bit of reputation. So, for example, we've got a grass pitch. Sounds like a strange thing to think about when you're thinking about football, but that's a big thing. People will prefer to play on grass pitch if they've had certain injuries or things. So sometimes that pulls us in. But it's about reputation. It's about networking. It's about as a football club, I don't know what our reputation was like in the past, but I've heard some stories that people have been put off with things that have happened in the past or whatever. But we do have a good connection now with other clubs. This time last year, we signed a cooperation agreement with Rangers, and Rangers are not going to sign a deal with another football club unless they think their players are going to be well looked after and it suits their reputation. This year,
do they typically give you players on loan and things like that? That's really what
part of the cooperation agreement is. You get 3 players free of charge, which is a big thing for us for balancing budgets. You're getting boys coming out of professional academies.
Getting that a club like that associated with your club,
and this time now we've got 3 or 4 clubs that are interested in a cooperation agreement, so we've got a kind of spoil of choice a little bit for us. So that's the kind of thing that helps with. It's all about that reputation, and that players will talk to other players as much as it's a team sport, and they should be rivals on the pitch. They're all friends off it. So there's a little bit of what goes around spreads, and that's how your good name gets about.
Okay, very good. So I've kind of got the same question for both of you guys as we're coming towards the end here. So if we look 12, 18 months out, Fraser, where would you like, if you could write the headline, what would it say?
Is this as chairman or as fan?
Chairman.
As
and then
chairman.
I'll ask you the same question as fan as well. Probably maybe the same thing.
No, they're definitely not. As chairman, I'll say progress on and off the pitch. So obviously we're going through a bit of a change at the moment in terms of we've had some new people join the board. We've had a new management team start in the football side of things. So I think seeing progress and natural movement to some of our longer term aspirations, which you said earlier on, top of the championship. I actually think Stirling, the size of the club, should be a championship club. So, progress along that. I'm not saying that's going to be linear, but progress towards that. As a fan, I'd love to be sitting here in 18 months, sitting, comfortably in League One.
With a few cups under your belt.
Maybe. We've got a Stirlingshire Cup at the end of the season. Our under-20s picked up a cup last month. So, the trophy cabinet's not sitting empty at the moment. I would like to be
good.
See if we can make some progress on that. That would be quite nice too.
How about you, David? With regards to the business community, where would you like to see this go?
We've got no fixed idea about where this goes, and part of that is born from the fact that, you know, this is about growth, and so we don't want to almost limit ourselves. We clearly want certain KPIs to be met. You know, clearly we want the club, the community to be viable, so we need enough members. Qualitatively, we want our members to be deriving value from that, and that means, you know, offering them growth, offering them connections. I think ultimately, you know, we want to be a vehicle for our members. We want to be a vehicle for the club. And the club, you know, Fraser's spoken about the rapid transformation that the club is going through as it seeks to reposition itself in the league, but also within the community and in the city. And we ultimately want to get to the point where, you know, the BBC itself, but the club is also seen as a key institution within the city. We feel the opportunities are endless. You know, the more success we're having on the pitch, the more footfalls coming into the town. You know, there are potential partners out there who will benefit from that. I guess, you know, you potentially could benefit from that through your business. Mm-hmm. We just feel that every time we have a conversation around the BBC with members or with potential members, we come away from that conversation with a whole load more ideas than we went into it. And so really the sky is the limit from that point of view. And that's what excites us. That's what keeps us motivated. And we want to just keep on driving forward for the benefit of, you know, the BBC members, the club and the city.
Brilliant. Okay. So in terms of any asks you might have of the audience out there, other than come along to the game on Saturday. Firstly, yourself, Fraser, what would an ask be of the business community, the Stirling community, you know, as the chairman of the football club?
Yeah, I think the easiest thing is to know that we exist, because I think that for a long time the football clubs, it was historically known that football clubs, as businesses, you would sponsor your local football club, and it became a bit of a transactional thing where it was expected. It was almost a bit of a blanket donation, and I think the pressures that business owners face, they can't do that nowadays. It's much more of they want a return on investment from any spend that they're going to do. So we are the local football club. We are your football club because it's owned by the members. So I would like to say to anyone listening that's got that business is to be able to, if the minimum is coming along to a game, take in the game, because I generally think you'll have a good day out. It's completely different to some of the football at the bigger stadiums. It's got a unique atmosphere.
You still sell Bovril.
You still sell Bovril, pie and Bovril.
Fantastic.
And that will always be in the kiosk for as long as I'm chairman as well. But it's more know about us, learn a little bit about us. We are your football club. We don't take any money out of it as directors. Everything goes back into trying to make the best football club we can do. So do that little bit. If your budget allows to take up some sponsorship or a day in hospitality, then do that.
Or membership with BBC.
Or membership with BBC.
Combination of all of those things.
Or if not, come along to a game. And I'd like to say that it's not your last.
I'll have a chat with my mates down at Newcastle to see if we can get a friendly going. How about that?
Well,
yeah, we promise not to go too hard on them if you can. So
No, well, the awkwardness of this is there might be a friendly with Sunderland, because we've just signed our kit deal with Hummel. And Hummel,
even better, come along and support the Albion against Sunderland.
That I will be doing. Don't worry about that. Fantastic. Any final thoughts for you? What would you like to ask of the audience?
I think anybody listening to this is probably, a natural fit for the BBC. I would say get in touch, come along, try it, see if it works for you. This is all about momentum. The more we can grow this, the more opportunities it creates for everybody involved, for the wider community, for the city. You spoke about, the value proposition for players coming into the club, for example. That's a key area where the BBC and its members have worked hand in hand with the club. We've created employment opportunities for potential players, and that can be a key differentiator in then getting better players on the pitch, and the whole thing just builds momentum. So come along, give it a try. We're confident that you'll find something there of value.
And how do they get in touch? Do you have a website or?
We've got a LinkedIn page that they can follow, or an email address, business@stirlingalbionfc.co.uk.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, thanks, gents. Very informative. I'm sure the audience will welcome the conversation today. So good luck this season and beyond, and good luck with the BBC.
Thanks very much. I'm sure we'll
certainly,
see you there as a speaker at some point.
Yeah, more than happy to do that, and not that I've got much of interest to say, but I'd be more than happy to do that. And yeah, don't be strangers. Come back, and as I say, maybe get your own podcast going, and get your message out further and wider.
I've definitely got a face for podcasts.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
You can do audio only as well. Well, thank you very much, and
thank you for having us.
for coming along.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Cheers.
So that brings us to another end of an episode of the Stirling Business Podcast. Thank you again to our guest this week. Remember to follow us on the YouTube channel, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Until next time, stay safe.